The Dance of the Ghostly Lights. A young dragon named Lazurik was the most curious creature in the entire Emerald Valley. His wings were not yet strong enough for long journeys through the sky. His fiery breath was more like a warm puff of steam than real flame, but the number of questions in his mind outnumbered the stars in the night sky. Ghosts fascinated him more than anything else. The old dragons often told stories about the Silver Forest, where the trees were draped in pale moss and the spirits of ages long past appeared after nightfall. They were not evil, but they possessed an extraordinary sense of humor. The adults, however, never explained what that actually meant. Lazurik decided to find out for himself. One evening, he ventured into the forest, carrying a lantern, a small pouch of nuts, and a thick book entitled 100 Ways to Talk to Ghosts. The book proved utterly useless from the very first page. The moment the little dragon opened it, a gust of wind flipped all the pages at once and stopped only at the final chapter. "Now that's suspicious already," he muttered. A quiet chuckle came from behind a nearby tree. "Who's there?" A tiny translucent ghost wearing a wide-brimmed hat floated into view. "Good evening. I'm simply looking for the way to Ghost Meadow." "Of course. Walk straight ahead, then turn left at the tree with the golden leaves." Lazurik thanked the ghost and continued on his way. 10 minutes later, he found himself standing beside the very same tree where he had begun. The ghost was already sitting on one of its branches. "My, you came back quickly." "But I've been walking straight the whole time." "Really? What a remarkable road." Several more transparent figures drifted into view. One wore enormous round spectacles. Another resembled an elderly musician carrying a ghostly violin. The third looked like a tiny dragon without a tail. All of them were barely able to hold back their laughter. "I must have taken a wrong turn." "Only a tiny one. About 3 circles. Or 4. Though perhaps 5. The ghosts exchanged glances and burst into laughter. Lazurik decided to be more careful. The next time, he began leaving little white pebbles on the ground to mark his path. But a few minutes later he discovered that the pebbles had been neatly arranged into an arrow, pointing straight back the way he had come. Who did this? Perhaps the forest simply loves order. Or maybe the wind. Or someone who's completely transparent. None of the ghosts looked even remotely guilty. Then the young dragon decided to navigate by the moon. But the moment he looked up, the moon suddenly appeared. In 3 different places. He stared from one to another for quite a while. Only one of them was real. The other 2 turned out to be ghosts pretending to be moons with the help of silvery clouds. "That's not fair. But it is beautiful. We worked hard on it." A little later, Lazurik heard an excited shout. "Quick! We've found treasure!" He ran toward the voice. Behind a cluster of bushes stood an enormous chest. The little dragon lifted the lid with great ceremony. Inside was a mountain of old socks, All kinds of them. Striped ones. Fluffy ones. Checkered ones. There was even a golden one. The ghosts rolled through the air with laughter. Who keeps socks in a treasure chest? A very wealthy centipede. Or a dragon who always loses one sock from every pair. Or a wizard who finally conquered Laundry Day. Lazurik could only shake his head. Another hour passed. By now, he had learned not to believe the very first thing he heard. Whenever a ghost said, "Go left," Lazurik checked the right side first. Whenever a spirit insisted, "There's nobody here," he immediately knew an entire crowd was hiding nearby. And whenever someone solemnly announced, "We're being perfectly serious today," he knew another prank was only moments away. Sure enough, a magnificent transparent palace suddenly appeared before him. Tall towers, shining windows, crystal staircases. At last, "I've found the ghost palace." He stepped inside carefully, only to find himself standing in the middle of an ordinary meadow. The palace vanished. Instead, dozens of ghosts floated in the air, applauding. That expression on your face was magnificent. Especially after your third step. We almost faded away from laughing. Lazurik took a deep breath. Then, to everyone's surprise, he began laughing too. At first quietly. Then louder. Then so heartily that even the owls stopped hooting. The ghosts exchanged astonished glances. "You're not angry?" "Why should I be? You never hurt anyone. You've just been leading me on the whole time." The oldest ghost drifted closer. "Very few people understand our favorite game. Most become angry after the very first prank." He removed his transparent hat. "Then you've passed the test." "The test?" "Of course. We wanted to know whether you could laugh at yourself." Slowly, the real Ghost Meadow appeared out of thin air. It was filled with glowing silver flowers. Blue lights floated above a gentle stream, while ancient trees softly hummed melodies carried by the wind. "So it really does exist." "Of course. It's simply impossible to find for anyone who sees every mistake as a defeat." Lazurik wandered among the glowing flowers with the ghosts for a long time. They told unbelievable stories, taught him how to create amusing illusions, and even showed him how to make his own shadow dance a polka. As dawn began to break, the ghosts gradually faded away. The eldest spirit spoke one last time. "If you ever meet a traveler who's far too serious, bring them here. So you can lead them by the nose too." The ghost smiled broadly. "Of course. Sometimes the best path to wisdom begins with a good laugh." Lazurik returned home a different dragon. From that day on, whenever one of his friends complained about getting lost in the Silver Forest, the little dragon would simply smile mysteriously. "Don't worry. If the ghosts are leading you by the nose, it means they like you." And somewhere deep among the silver trees, the quiet, warm-hearted laughter of invisible spirits echoed once again as they searched for their next curious visitor. Sparkle's ghost.